It's really a pure delight to be here. Absolutely wonderful. We love coming on and sharing all kinds of information. This is what Dr. Chris and I love to do. And I'm Tina Johnson, of course, and we are the co-formulators of the amazing StemRenu. We love to hear all your stories, and we've been hearing some great things about our product. And we are very committed to your wellness and helping you understand not only how our product works, but how does the body work as well. So, Chris, I'd like to turn it to you.
Oh, thank you, Tina, and thank you, Joe, for that great warm introduction. And we are very excited to be here. You know, over the last 50 years of our combined experience, we've had the opportunity to learn so much, stay at the forefront of nutritional science. And this is what brought us to introducing StemRenu to everyone out there. I know I feel very grateful to have so many mentors in health education for learning about naturopathy and anti-aging. And those same mentors actually were seeking out Tina Johnson because she had a TV and radio show in the Twin Cities in Minnesota, and she introduced to the world and these many unique, innovative approaches to health and well-being. So we had the opportunity to experience what was coming out from a global perspective of how the body works, what it takes to keep it young, healthy, and strong. And it's a real pleasure and opportunity for us to share this with everyone out there, especially our NHT family. You know, you take a look at this slide, and what we're introducing is renewal science, and the picture where you see the baby's hand and the hand of the elderly individual, this represents what happens when we don't have that communication, that signaling that goes on that requires the maintenance of who we are, this vitality, because the genetic imprint of that baby's hand and that individual at the age of 60 is the same. So the instructions are there, the ability to maintain itself are all there. So why does the hand look so different? How did it age the way it has and lose its vitality and flexibility? So what we've discovered is a whole new dynamic to nutritional science, and we call it renewal science. And it's designed to not just slow down, but in many cases reverse the accelerated aging that we experience in today's lifestyle. So it helps us reach our biological potential, and that's what that graph is about on the left-hand side of the slide. You know, we feel like we're doing pretty well if we live to be 80, 85 years old. But our true biological potential is far greater. It's 120, 130. And the difference is what is happening inside the body. It's the signaling. And Tina, do you want to share a little bit more about your perspective there on renewal science?
Sure. If we could go to the next slide, that'd be great. You know, this slide is kind of exciting for me because what it does is it puts the pieces of the puzzle together. So I really appreciate it. From a high level, it really helps us to understand why StemRenu is different from all other health products, because in the past we've been able to focus on what we call replenishment science, and that's where we feed our bodies something that's missing. It goes after and addresses the deficiencies that we've had in the body, and when we replace that deficiency, we can tend to have a better health and wellness. Now, that's very interesting and very important today, because there's a lot of deficiency in our food that we need with our vitamins and our minerals. So replenishment is very important. But now when we take it to the next level, as we've introduced StemRenu with Renewal Science, we can absolutely wake up the body. We can utilize that replenishment, all of that nutrients in our food that we put into our body in a much more efficient way, because what we're doing, as Dr. Chris mentioned, we have signals now that we're introducing back into the body that turns on healthy switches and really brings our DNA back to that healthy level. So we have the power of the synergy not only with replenishment, which is where science has been focused on for so many years, but now we complement that and integrate it with renewal, and we take our wellness to the next level. Next slide.
That's great, Tina. You know, you're describing the two dynamics of how we look at ourselves. There's the metabolic view, and that's what happens with the replenishment. We facilitate the biochemistry in the body and make all these wonderful things happen through support. And then there's the stem cell view, and that's what we're bringing out to the world, the stem cell view, and understanding real science. And that stem cell view is unique because it has the ability to not just signal. If you look at this cross-section of a cell here, this is what this slide represents, and you're seeing these, you know, these yellow and purple molecules attaching to receptor sites. This is the surface of the cell where you have these hundreds of thousands of receptor sites that extend beyond the cell, and these signals direct the cell and what it's doing. So our environment is so critical. Our cellular function is dependent upon our environment, not just what the genes that are inside the cell are expressing. Their ability to express themselves happens from the environment. And so what we're doing with Renewal Science is we're introducing an architect, not just nutrition. We're introducing the composer, the director of this incredible orchestra that goes on in our bodies. We're talking about trillions of functions that go on in every second of our lives that we don't have to think about, we don't have to understand, but we are responsible for that. The responsibility is giving the body what it's looking for, maintain the signals and maintain the nutritional requirements. So we're bringing these two sciences together, and this is the signaling that is so important that very few people realize that we can support and work with, and that's what we're doing with StemRenu and the science it represents. So on the next slide, you'll see that this cross-section of the cell is represented again, and that signal molecule attaches to the surface of the cell, that green signal molecule, and then it triggers a whole response inside the cell. And what your cell is is that a genetic expression is an enzyme or a cell or tissue, or just regulating your blueprint, you know, what makes you who you are. And to do that most efficiently, we're introducing just signals that are developed at the primal stage of life, and they're very unique, very special. And this is what we're trying to have everyone understand, that StemRenu is introducing just a brand new technology that facilitates stem cell activity. And stem cells are very special. If you'll see in the next slide, they're designed to not just make new cells, but they're designed to release these very special molecules. So let's take a look at stem cell technology, and this will help you understand why StemRenu is designed in a very specific way to help with stem cell production, stem cell release, and stem cell activation. And when you have that stem cell system working with those three aspects, now you have the ability to differentiate into different types of tissue. So a stem cell can become a heart cell, it can become a fat cell, it can become a bone cell. Also, the magic of the stem cell provides the ability for it to regenerate itself so that you replenish the stem cell bank. So you're making unique tissue, and you're also replenishing the stem cell bank. So every time you take StemRenu, you're building your stem cell bank, because you're activating stem cells to do their work as well as replenish themselves. And then, of course, there's the magic of the signaling that goes on. The signaling that tells the tissue how to repair itself, the signaling that tells it how to use the nutrition, the great food, the great products that we're introducing into our bodies. This is why StemRenu complements NHT's wonderful line of nutritional supplements so well. So this is critical to understand. You have this stem cell system that we support, and then you have Once you've supported that system, you have this multiple orchestration that goes on for healing, repair, and most important, regeneration. So you're making a brand new you every day that you take StemRenu. So let's talk a little bit about those individual formulas or individual ingredients. Tina, you want to take it here?
Sure, sure. Okay, thank you, Chris. I just want you to know that you're just fading in and out a little bit, so I'm not sure what's happening, just to be aware of that. And, you know, you're talking about the signal molecules. Before we get into that, I'd like to just mention, you know, when we hit the age of 21, you know, we were talking about replenishment and renewal science earlier to help kind of bridge here. When we hit the age of 21, all of a sudden we start to become depleted in these signal proteins, these special signal molecules that Dr. Chris was talking about. And so what's great is now we can talk about how we can bring those back into the body and introduce them back into the body, as he was saying, as signals to be able to activate those dormant stem cells to go back into healing and repair. And so the first ingredient that I'd like to talk about is, or excuse me, all of these ingredients, all 5 of them, the ingredients matter. You know, we have to be able to have not only the best ingredients out there, but we also have to be able to have the synergy between these ingredients. And that's what we have here with StemRenu, the best of both, the synergy as well as the right combination in the proper amounts. So that's what's going to deliver the results. So let's go ahead and move into the next slide. So we have the amazing avian egg from Norway. Now this is so important. When we talk about ingredients and we talk about, Chris mentioned that, you know, our environment matters. Everything is about energy. Everything. And I think if you're on this webinar, you pretty much know that we all understand what vibration is, what energy is, and we want to have the best energy in all of the ingredients that we bring into our bodies. And that's why we sourced the egg from Norway, because we get it from a very pristine environment, organic, free-range hens. These hens are native to Norway. They're 3rd generation from the family, the farm that we purchased this ingredient from. And when we look at the egg or the avian family, it's really important to know that in the world, when we sell something commercially, we have to give vaccinations to those hens before we can sell those eggs. Now in Norway, it's a little bit different. In Norway, because they're such a disease-free environment, they only have to give their hens 1 vaccination. But if we look in comparison to the United States, if we were to source any commercially sold egg in the United States, we are talking about 12 to up to possibly 22 vaccinations per hen before you even get that egg. Now, that's really important because some of that gets transferred into what we ingest. So we want to make sure that we're getting the most clean, pristine, environmentally safe eggs in the world, and that's why we source from Norway. The other thing that's really important about the egg is that Dr. Chris was talking about these signal proteins. The avian egg extract actually allows us to be able to pull those unique proteins out of the egg, and that ingredient is actually what activates our stem cells. So when we're looking at this thing that we all have called stress, you know, I was talking about our environment and everything is energy. And you know, there's actually a science out there called epigenetics that really says at a high level that our environment determines how our DNA expresses itself. Think about that. Where we live, how we feel, what we eat, how we behave, how we think, all of it determines how our DNA expresses itself. Well, one of the things that most of us have here on this planet is something called stress. And one of the things that the avian egg extract does is it helps counteract the effect of stress because it reduces cortisol levels in the body. Now think about that. If we all know we're not going to get rid of our stress, but what we need to do is we need to be able to handle our stress better. And stress is the #1 health issue right now on the planet. Everything that we have, we're getting constant stresses, we're being bombarded. We all know that. So if we can handle stress, we can handle our environment better, that's going to reflect in our overall wellness. That's going to expand into our DNA. Our DNA is going to turn on healthy switches instead of unhealthy switches because we're going to be able to handle stress better. And so when we have excessive stress or excessive cortisols, back up, Joe. When we have excessive cortisols, what happens is we break down our collagen and we age 10 times faster. That means our skin gets older faster when we have excess stress. We disrupt our blood sugar, we compromise our energy levels, we excrete that hormone that stores fat around the belly and it burns our precious muscles, which we need when we age. So it's really important to know that if we can reduce our overall stress, we can change our DNA. Chris, do you have anything to add?
Just that you make such good points that when you can deal with stress and enhance energy levels, just look at our culture today. We have a coffee shop on every corner, you know, you just drive through the streets. And then also we're talking about a physical, mental, and emotional level that's being supported here. So what other supplement that you know of can work on so many levels and do so unique work on the underlying cause of all breakdown and imbalance in the body? And that's just alone with the studies that we've gotten with the egg extract. Look at the next ingredient that we really like everyone to know about, and that's our aloe vera gel extract. Very unique because, again, ingredients matter, as Tina was saying, and this ingredient has been formulated, it's proprietary. There's only one source available in the whole world that makes this very unique extract that is close to pure aloe vera, as if you were going in your own backyard and cutting an aloe vera leaf and using the gel directly internally or externally. And we don't have to talk much about aloe vera and its healing properties because it's been known for thousands of years in every culture how powerful it is. But to be able to take this extract that's known for its ability to activate the release of our stem cells. So now you're seeing how we're combining the stem cell system with these ingredients. Tina was explaining how the signal proteins that come from the egg extract activate the stem cell. Well, here we're facilitating the release and the signaling that goes on to make more stem cells. And one other feature that's very unique in this aloe vera extract is that it has the unique sugar molecules that are part of the antenna that you see on that cell surface. So we facilitate not only the signaling, but we facilitate the receptivity of those signals with this ingredient. So it's very, very special and very unique, and just taking it alone would be phenomenal for our health and well-being. Then we have the marine mineral complex. This is the third component to our stem cell system that we would like everyone to understand, because where do we make the stem cells in our body? They come from primarily our bone marrow, and so it requires healthy bones. Well, this marine mineral complex that we use is the only plant-based marine mineral complex that has been clinically shown to not just slow down the degeneration of our bones, but to regenerate. We've had 1 year and 7 year studies that show the reversal of bone loss, and that is just no small statement, because this allows you to build that healthy, strong structure and integrity in your body, but also the foundation of your stem cell factory is in the bone marrow. So healthy bones make healthy bone marrow. Healthy bone marrow makes lots of healthy stem cells to help us regenerate and repair. So here's an ingredient that has been shown to be 97% bioavailable, so that the minerals you're taking end up in your tissue and orchestrating your body's functions rather than depositing and causing disease and different problems with calcification. Sorry, you wanted to share something?
Yeah, thank you. Sorry, you were breaking out there a little bit, but one of the things that stress does as well is it actually accelerates that bone density. We move into more of an osteoporosis, osteopenia state. So when we're supporting the bones and we're supporting with the aloe vera and we're supporting with the egg extract, talk about what a fantastic way to be able to not only produce, activate, and release your stem cells in the body. So that's why we call it stem cell therapy in a bottle. The other thing that I think is really important to talk about is I know we have a lot of practitioners on, and when we talk about StemRenu, it actually complements your practice. Because if you can help balance the body, working with a supplement that works on so many different layers and so many different levels that's unique to every individual, then you can be a better practitioner. Because once a person starts taking StemRenu, you start to see that it helps you as a practitioner to work on getting the energy back in balance, the hormones back in balance, the nervous system back in balance. And so it's a great complement for any of you practitioners that are out there.
So true, Tina. The acupuncturists get stronger meridian flows, the chiropractors get better adjustments with their alignment, and it just complements every modality. And here are some of the benefits people are experiencing.
Well, and to add to that, we even have a lot of therapists that use this to help calm the emotional body. Because again, as you mentioned earlier, it's the mental, the emotional, the physical, the spiritual. We're all interconnected. All of these things are all related to each other. So when we look at these key benefits, we can see that a lot of people tend to get deeper, more restful sleep. And why is that? It's because the cortisols are lowered and our good hormones can come back into balance. We can also counter the effects of stress. Again, we mentioned we're not going to get rid of our stress. It's probably just going to be amped up because everything is moving faster. Vibration is picking up. And so if everything is moving faster, you know that we need to somehow be able to slow down and be in our Zen place to be able to handle some of those things coming at us. And we can do that with StemRenu by countering the effects of stress. We also have greater recovery. So for all of you that work out or have a physical job, and have high demands on your physical body, you can take StemRenu and it will help your body to recover faster. And as Dr. Chris was talking about the incredible marine mineral complex that we have in our product, it supports joint and bone health. And another thing that I like is we all know that we're energy machines. It's what we do. Our body creates energy. And so we can have increased energy and endurance as well.
So really what you're talking about is true rejuvenation, and anti-aging has to do with energy. And let's talk a little bit about that in the next slide here.
And one of the myths that we have all been taught for many, many years is that, we lose energy as we age. You know what? I'm just losing energy. I'm aging. I'm losing energy. And what I'd like you to think about is we age because we lose the ability to make energy. So now when you take StemRenu and you can have your body making its own energy again, its own energy production, and taking your biological potential up to that 120, you can actually, as Dr. Chris was talking about, have anti-aging in a bottle from the inside out.
Many doctors call it the fountain of youth. you know, over the years now with this new science that we're introducing, Tina and I have been talking to doctors who actually use stem cell therapy in their practice. They take an individual's stem cells and reintroduce them. They cultivate them and culture them and reintroduce them into the body. And they've learned about StemRenu, and they use StemRenu as the maintenance product in between their stem cell treatments with individuals. So we're not only getting out there to the public, but to the professional community that recognizes this renewal science can be done very simply in a very safe and healthy way with a nutritional supplement that is a combination of very powerful foods that have been around for thousands of years and are safe for all ages. So next, everyone says, well, then how do I take it and what do I take? Well, it's a capsule. It's in the powder form, encapsulated, and the recommendation is 1 to
Oh, I think we lost you there, Chris. I'll pick up on this. So the recommendation is to take 1 to 2 capsules a day, or as directed by your health practitioner. It's very easy. It's very safe. People ask us if children can take it. And yes, so if a child is eating food, a child can take it. You can take it all the way up to 120. So very, very safe. Again, whole food supplement, and best taken in the morning when you first wake up with a glass of water. And then some people like to take more in the afternoon to try to give themselves a boost of energy. To give you another example, some people like to take it at night just before they go to bed because it helps them with that deeper sleep. So you all have your own healthy blueprint, and you just need to experiment with it and make sure that you take it when it works for you. There's no one real good or way bad to take it. The best thing to do is to pay attention to your body. Listen to yourself and listen to those cues, and then take it. And again, we talked about the power of the synergy between all of the wonderful replenishment products that we have with NHT Global and the renewal science of StemRenu. It's such a great combination. I truly hope that you understand that you have something that is incredibly powerful, leading edge, that can take your health and wellness to the next level, complementing StemRenu along with the NHT other products that focus on replenishment. And Dr. Chris, are you back yet? Can we hear you? No, I think.
Tina.
Okay. Well, Joe, do you have any questions? Would you like me to address anything else?
Yes, you know, you talked about, and this is a question, this is probably, I think, a key point in the webinar, is and the information that you shared, is the architect. Can you explain to people why StemRenu, when you take anything with it, it'll improve the effectiveness?
Absolutely. So it does it very multidimensionally. So when we're talking about our cells and we turn on these signals in the body, first of all, we flood our body with signals, with communication, to be able to send and receive information to our cells that was dormant before. So that's one level. The other level is we actually repair the outside of the cell with those with the antenna. So when we have those signal antennas now being repaired or created on the new cells that are coming, those signals can dock in and utilize the cells. Well, what's great is that you have the ability for StemRenu to direct all of the cells to be able to utilize any nutrition or food that we put into our body.
I think I'm back on board here, and well said, Tina. And again, it's about putting back the capabilities that were in the body when we were young again. So the skin repairs on a 2-week cycle instead of a 6 to 10 week cycle. the heart, the kidneys, the lungs, all have the ability to regenerate themselves. And this is what we call architectural, because it orchestrates the systems, it orchestrates the organs, it orchestrates the actual building blocks that come in through our supplementation and food. And all of this is the magic of what the stem cell system is doing, and StemRenu was designed specifically for that system.
So guys, just with regards to healing crisis, I'll share with a story. By the way, we're launching StemRenu in Mexico and Peru, as Mexico and Peru are launching here this month in the month of February. So 2 more markets that we're launching. And the product is also, I know we've got some South Koreans on the webinar here. The product's also launching in South Korea in a couple of weeks, and then into Taiwan in March. So the world of StemRenu is growing. So healing crisis, Tina and Chris. So going back to the story, the gentleman that's helping us launch into Peru, Luis Landeros. Luis, when he first was introduced to STEM, he says, he told me a little bit of his background and his wife. They've been, in the nutritional field for a long time. His wife has written some books, and I was telling to Luis, just be careful at the beginning. And I was going over the healing crisis situation, and he says, Joe, I've been on the top products for years. I'm healthy. Nothing happened to me. Will happen to me. Well, about 4 or 5 days later, he calls me up. He says, Joe, I've not been able to sleep for 3 days. I can't believe how incredible this product is. And that was his form of healing crisis. Can you explain that a little bit more, guys, with regards to what people could experience?
Sure. No, we hear these stories all the time, and it's a little bit different for everyone. And it goes back to Tina explaining how we are energy first. And when you turn on all the switches that have been off for many of us decades, not just for a few days or weeks or months, we're talking decades, and those switches turn on again, your body finds a new vitality to clean up the debris that has been stored into the liver and kidneys and fat cells. It all of a sudden shows us how to make hormones again that give us our biological rhythms back. And we have a newfound energy that all of a sudden we said, my goodness, I don't have to take that afternoon nap anymore, and I can wake up refreshed just after a few hours of sleep instead of the 8 to 10 that I needed because of my moods and my inability to regenerate my energy overnight. So the potential is phenomenal.
Well, you said something really key and critical in there as well, Joe. Luis takes a lot of nutrition, and so his body was flooded with great nutrient. And I put this message out to everyone on this webinar. The more you can do and have in your body, even before you take StemRenu. So if you're on this webinar and you're in Peru and you don't have the product yet, or in another country, get the good nutrition in your body, because once you start taking StemRenu, it is going to find that excellent nutrition in there, and it's going to work even better because you're going to have everything turn on a lot faster. So that's what happened to Luis.
Yes. I got a couple more questions. You guys okay?
Sure.
Yes. So just to let everybody know, Tina and Chris have not been prepared with any of these questions. So I'm just coming up with them on the fly here. That's usually whatever feels good to me, I'm going to go and share. When it comes to StemRenu, and from my experience, I have seen it initially work faster in the nervous system. I don't know if, just from my experience, I don't know if that's the case. Can you just share if I'm correct? Is it hitting the nervous system first, or people seeing faster results in that area?
It works all over the body simultaneously, Joe, and I think it's the nervous system we feel the most, because what is the nervous system? It's the receiver. It's the response to what's happening in our environment. So we can help reduce how we handle stress, then the nervous system gets to calm down. You know, in medicine, we work with a patient, and you have two dynamics in the nervous system. You have the healing and repairing and sleep dynamic, and then you have the stress response dynamic. And when you can reduce that stress response, all of a sudden you get the healing and repairing and the sleep, and the nervous system is the first one that people recognize with that. It's working all over at the same time. It's fixing the liver, and it's rebuilding the heart, and cleaning out the vascularity, and all the wonderful things that, you know, it's not designed to treat, cure, or ameliorate any of these conditions, but because it's a food that your body's looking for to handle stress and replenishment, you get these kinds of results.
Yeah, I would say that the central nervous system is kind of like our barometer, you know, for stress. You know, like Chris was saying, we're not going to feel cholesterol being, you know, removed from our arteries. We're just not going to sense that or feel that. So we're more in tune with the nervous system. So it does work everywhere, but we're going to feel that one the most.
Awesome. So this is a side question. Outside of StemRenu, just overall health, well-being, I think the conscious level of people globally is growing in this area. No matter what Big Pharma is doing, no matter what traditional medicine is sharing. So can you just share, both of you, what your philosophy on health is and wellness? And then we can end the webinar on that positive, incredible note.
Go ahead, Tina. I'll let you go first.
Well, you know, I look at everything as energy, you know, and everything is interrelated. You know, our mind, our body, our spirit, our soul, everything is so interrelated. So, you know, for me, it's working on everything multidimensional. And so when we created StemRenu, it was important for us, if we were going to come out with something that was so unique and profound and different, we needed to be able to touch on all of those different parts so that we could help people move into a more conscious state of wellness, a more conscious state of awareness about themselves. Because we know when we feel better, when we take care of ourselves, then we can emanate out into the world and bring our purpose out into the world. So this is truly, really about helping people get back to the essence of who they really are, because we don't have to experience those stressors. So there's so many multidimensional things with StemRenu that Chris and I thought were so important when we brought this product out to the world.
It really helps tell the story of life, you know. Energy makes our chemistry, so let's support the body so it can make the best energy and the most efficient energy without any type of artificial stimulation. So that's going to your fountain of youth. What's your fountain of youth in the body? It's your stem cell. So when you can support your stem cell system, you're all of a sudden helping every dynamic and aspect of who you are. And it speaks to changing our environment. It speaks to helping clean up the past, and just really being so positive and optimistic about a great future ahead, because we're taking what is, you know, the best nutritional support that we could ever imagine doing at this time. So we really appreciate this opportunity, Joe, for having us on and sharing this incredible product that's been given to us to give to you. We just feel like we're stewards of this incredible technology, and we're just happy to share it to help people understand how it works and why it's designed for everyone of all ages.
Yeah, you know, the bad news about StemRenu, you know what that is? It's a trick question.
Let's hear it.
We can't share the incredible testimonials and some of the, it's amazing the stories that we've heard over the last 10 months as we've introduced into NHT, and I just want to share the whole world what's going on with this area and this area and this area. But unfortunately, because of FTC rulings and you know, obviously the company wants to do the right thing, and we got to protect the mothership. That's the bad news about StemRenu. You know, we can't share all these incredible stories. But the great news, ladies and gentlemen, because every day Chris and Tina get this question: does it work for this disease, or does it work for that disease, or does it work for, you know, my mother has this, will it help them? Here's what I would recommend all of you to do as NHT Global distributors. If you're a customer here listening on this webinar, is just commit to taking the product for 90 days. Just 90 days. Do your health a favor, just 90 days. Go and do the research on StemRenu. You know, start to, if you really, if health is important to you and your family, I'm sure it is, or else you wouldn't be on this webinar, go and do your research. You know, go and look at what is going on with StemRenu here with NHT Global. Commit for 3 months, 90 days, and taking the product. You know, I know they went over how much to take. Well, my rule of thumb, you start at 2, and what you want to do is you listen to your body and move up to 4, and then move up to 6, especially if you have any kind of health challenge. This is what I'm communicating to my customers, and I'm sharing to the distributor world. And commit for 90 days, and you will see some great things happen in your life. You'll see your health improve. You'll see some great things happen in your life. And it's not a coincidence that you're on this webinar. Believe me, it's not a coincidence. Go ahead and take it for at least 90 days. Tell your customers to take it for at least 90 days. After a couple weeks, if they're not seeing any tangible results, up it for another 2 tablets. And then if they still don't see anything, up it another 2 tablets. And this will really help them move forward in getting the results that they're looking for. So I don't know if you have any other comments besides that, Tina and Chris, of what I've just shared, but that's what I...
Yeah, thank you, Joe. That's great. I also like to tell people, if you have a stressful situation coming, you know, like for instance, when we fly, you know, we take extra StemRenu. Before a webinar, I take 2 at once. You know, sometimes, you know, when I go on stage, I take 4 or 6 because it just depends on how centered you want to be, and that's, like we said, it brings cortisols down. It lowers that intensity in your central nervous system so that you can be present. So anytime you have a stressful situation, you can take more as well.
Yes, great concept. One last thing, I'm the one more thing, Joe. one more thing. So from a business perspective, ladies and gentlemen, NHT Global distributors, all you need to do from a marketing concept, from a business concept, all you have to do is just turn on the TV, go on your radio, go on the internet, and you will see we're in the stem cell revolution, I guess. It's on everybody's tongue in traditional mainstream medicine. The technology is everyone's talking about it. So from a business perspective, I would say we're at the right time or the right place with this unique, incredible product line. And people are falling in love with what this product is doing to themselves and their family. Please take the time for your own personal health. And if you're looking at building the NHT Global business and reaching your goals and your dreams, really take the time to understand what we have here with StemRenu. And I promise you, it will blow you away. When I was first introduced it, from a business perspective, timing is everything. And we're right on the media is doing all the work for us. And when you share the product, get people on this webinar. It's been recorded. It's going to go up online. We have other webinars for people to watch. Instead of becoming a doctor, just expose them to the tools. The great StemRenu video, this tool that we're sharing with you here today, and let your customers understand what we have here. So Tina and Chris, it's been a blessing. Another great webinar. Thank you very much for joining here today. Again, thank you again for your commitment to these doctor calls once a month. And good night, everyone. Good afternoon. Have a great, awesome weekend. And dream big, ladies and gentlemen. Dream big.
Thank you, Joe. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, everyone.